Yep, graphic designer. We are live. Hello. Come into the room. We had several confirmed, so I hope that everybody comes and shows up. But we're going to share this information anyhow. We're going to share this information anyway.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's see if I can see. All right. So I'm in the frame of comments. See, one person is on with us.
Hey, hello.
Yep. Hello. Hello. We are live, and as you come into the live, we will start shortly. Please like, share, come join us. Give people a chance. Give people a chance to get in here so we can talk about emotional intelligence. We charter this water. So, we'll do what we do. As people come in, they'll come in. Um, this was a interesting topic.
It was very interesting to learn about. Um, yeah, that was
To learn that there's words put to something that we, you know, but then made complex and seemingly complex at the same time.
yeah, but it's not.
It's not at all.
It's not. So maybe reviewing the topic and processing it will be more affirming. That's what it
Yes,
was for me.
yes, yes. Um, so, hello, folks. As you come in, we're going to be talking about emotional intelligence and what that is, and how do you know if you are, and how can you get there? If you
Right.
feel like you're not. I think there's something Stephanie and I talk about all the time, and that's being aware of yourself. That's one of the pillars of it. But
Yes.
wanting trying to reach and striving to reach autonomy is part of that.
Self
Um,
differentiation.
yes. So I'll start off with, I did some research online. We did our research, and I want to start with a definition that I came up with online, and it just says that it refers to the ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. Right. Some researchers suggest that emotional intelligence can be learned and strengthened, while others claim it's an inborn characteristic. Hmm. Who knows? Right. So that's a debate. The ability to express and control emotions is essential, but so is the ability to understand, interpret, and respond to the emotions of others.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine a world in which you could not understand when a friend was feeling sad or when a coworker was angry. Psychologists refer to this ability as emotional intelligence. And Stephanie and I have our own um, ideas and discussion about around that as well. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Sophia, thank you for joining us. Um, as you
Hello.
come in, please let us know you're here, because sometimes we don't always see when you come in, and sometimes we don't always see your comments. So please let us know when you come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So and we can just continue our discussion about it, because we had a lot of
Yes.
discussion about
Yeah.
this topic and where it came
Yeah.
from and why it was established.
Yeah. My what is it? Presumption
Okay.
is, after doing some research, my presumption is that someone needed to develop that. I bet you it's a human resource person. I don't know, to develop this information for corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know for sure, but I'm just assuming because of reactivity and how people are responding to just simple feedback. you
Yes.
know, at work, you know, that where when you're getting feedback at your job, how you were responding to it. And I'm sure there was a lot of pushback because there needed to be, unfortunately, some boundaries set, but emotional regulation is the thing that, you know, that
That,
emotional regulation is the thing to do as opposed to just a boundary and warnings and written warnings. And so
mhm.
I just kind of made a little joke that this emotional intelligence topic was made up so that corporate could use it, since they couldn't send everybody to therapy. They had
Right.
to they had to have
Right.
some way of, you know, giving
To
people
measure.
information,
Mhm.
yeah, to say, you know, you need, this is emotional intelligence. All this reactivity is not going to help you maintain employment here
Right.
or help you to stay in school or, you know, things like,
Yeah.
or even maintain relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I just did literally a few hours ago a workshop on leadership style. And
Mm-hmm.
as I was doing the workshop on leadership styles, and neither thing was planned with the other. So that or this was planned with the other. Hi, Melanie. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Um, and we talked about different styles and how they affect people, right? The autocratic style is the boss. You do it. It's my way or the highway. Um, the laissez-faire was like, hey, I gave you something to do, and so I'm hands off, get it done, right? The paternalistic approach where standing in a space of maybe like a matriarch or patriarch, where everybody kind of looks up to you and trusts you, but they need to be loyal. And then the affiliative, where everybody's family and everybody matters. And I think about those styles and how emotional intelligence plays a part in how you lead people.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you're the aquatic person where it's my way or the highway, and you do it the way I want, or you can go, and you're not able to gauge your team and their emotions or what's happening on your team, the research says that you lack emotional intelligence. Yeah. So I was just thinking about that because I just finished doing that. And I know you and I talked earlier before I did the workshop, and then I started
Mm-hmm.
the workshop, and I was like, "Ooh, this is good. This kind of fits in that."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hi, Shay Shay.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. So that just kind of stuck out to me as I was doing this workshop, and it's like, wow, okay,
It
um,
makes sense.
and all of it like fits and makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not new.
Mm-hmm.
The title, the phrase, perhaps
Yeah,
is
that's the thing. But the work to be done is not new. It almost feels common sense, like a little bit, but
yeah,
obviously there was a need for it. Well, I mean, I'm presuming there was a need for it because it's become a buzz topic, you
yeah,
know, at least in business environments, it is a topic. In
yeah,
CBT, that's what we're striving for, right?
right, yes,
Self-awareness,
yes.
empathy,
Which are the
social
pillars?
awareness. Yeah, like those are the things that, you know, those
Yes,
are very important. They're the healing aspects of our journey.
right.
Mhm.
Um, and I did not, I not once when I went to research this topic did the workplace not come up.
I know.
The workplace kept coming up.
Yes, I even tried to put it in for emotional intelligence and codependency, and it was one of those research papers, you know,
The
and
article.
the language was a research article. And, you know, the language was so like word salad. It was like what?
Right,
And I
right.
didn't have enough time like to take it apart and rip it up and, you know, like look at it again and understand
Mhm,
that some of the other languages or something, or research the
mhm.
connections. But it wasn't smooth. It didn't just kind of go with the flow. But
Right.
I am gonna further. But I was on the phone with you when I looked it up. It was like only one article that came up.
Yes.
So I do see a lot of it around corporate or school, you know, organizations,
Right.
which is
Yes.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
which is very, very good.
Um, so, 4 different levels of emotional intelligence in my research included emotional perception, um, perceiving emotions. So, the first, it's understanding emotions to perceive them accurately. So, in many cases, this might involve understanding nonverbal signals such as body language and facial expression, right? You and I have already identified, well, together and outside of the live, that sometimes we can be mistaken,
Yes.
right? But I
Yes.
think it's I don't know. I think in my understanding it's kind of like generalized, like generally, like someone that cannot read cues at all,
Yes.
right?
Or has everyone, or there are people who perceive a cue as anger, or a cue as divisive, or a cue as dismissive. And so when you don't have a clear perception of that, then you react, right? It becomes a trigger. and
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
so emotional intelligence is being aware of
Being
how you
aware,
perceive body language, sounds, being aware how you perceive those.
right? And you have to be, and in order to do that, you have to really be aware of you too, or it would be all about the other person.
Yes.
Your whole journey is about you and how you can be different and how you can grow and how you can heal,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even in your interactions with other people.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
second thing was the ability to reason using emotions. So, you know, emotions help prioritize what we pay attention and react to, what we respond emotionally to things that garner our attention, right? So, using emotions to promote thinking and cognitive ability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, because if something is really important to me, it might strike an emotion, but if it's not, then it won't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But having the ability to do that, right? Having the ability to um, prioritize what we pay attention to, react to, pay attention to what you react to, right? Respond emotionally to things that garner our attention. And we that goes back kind of to the first one too, right? Like you might think a person is um, I mean, we talked about resting face not being so pleasant.
Right.
That
Right.
doesn't mean that's the mood that the person might be in, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we
Mm-hmm.
have to be clear. However, I mean, I think we are beings of energy,
Right.
and if you're in tune with your energy, I think that can be a telltale about you. Like I trust what I feel
Mm-hmm.
in my space,
Right.
right? So being
Yeah.
in tune with your energy as well, I think is important.
Well, I think that was a translation of the ability to reason using your emotions. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Or even, and when I say reason, when I hear that, I also, to use a phrase that I heard you say, is to think about what I'm thinking about. Well, in this case, think about what I'm feeling,
Yes,
being able to rationalize that. Is this a rational reaction or response to the situation that I'm in?
right.
Being able to do that cognitively, stop and think.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I don't want people to get confused with the whole because when you talk about intelligence, um, having it or the lack thereof could feel offensive, right? Like I'm intelligent. What do you mean? And I don't
Mhm.
want people to get that confused, right? Because all it is just being aware of you and the people around you, the people
Yeah.
you have dealings with.
Yeah. So another way I heard it explained is emotional IQ.
Hmm.
So it's called EQ. So all of us have an IQ,
Yes.
right? And that just kind of measures whatever it measures. And so this
Right.
is asking us to measure our emotional IQ,
Yep.
emotional
Measure
IQ, as opposed,
emotions.
yeah, how where are you on your emotional IQ scale?
Hmm.
Because everybody has the ability to do all these things. It's like from a scale from 1 to 10, where are you on those
Yes.
levels,
Yes.
right? There's
Right.
always room for growth.
always room for growth. And but so the third thing then, it brings to the third thing, the ability to understand emotions, right? So the emotions that we perceive can carry a wide variety of meanings, right? So if someone is expressing angry emotions, the observer might interpret the cause of the person's anger and what it could mean. For example, they give an example. If your boss is acting angry, it might mean that they are dissatisfied with your work, or it could be because they got a speeding ticket on their way to work that morning, or that they've been fighting with their partner. It has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
So understand it and not jump to conclusions. But again, as we said before, you have to reach back inside. You have to go internal. Like, what am I feeling? Because remember we talked about the energy. You could certainly get that energy and not be correct about your interpretation of what's happening.
And I think that is also in this example with the job and things coming up and understanding, other people's making assumptions. There's a level of empathy that comes in there in that, if I don't have the ability to have empathy for others, then I'm not emotionally intelligent.
That's true.
I'm not emotionally intelligent at all. Everything is sort of kind of manufactured. It is manufactured. It's manufactured emotions. It's manufactured. Okay. Well, I hope everything's okay. When really you're flat. It's not real.
Right.
So if you lack the ability to have empathy, then that's the area of opportunity.
Right.
For emotional intelligence.
And that could mean, if you recognize that in yourself, like doing some research or some work, that's the work to do.
That is.
Right. But also understanding that there are, and in any of these examples, there are certain conditions or illnesses, or if you will, disorders. We don't really like
disorders,
dwelling on that's a symptom of, right? But if you are a regularly functioning person, as far as you know,
if you can't figure out how to get empathy, then you might have to consider
something else
is happening.
Right.
It's okay. Because
it's okay. Yes.
It's so okay. You just learn how to take social cues and you become kind of like a mockingbird, but whatever. If because there's plenty of mockingbirds that are successful on this planet and do, that totally lack empathy. The president, we even had a president that, was able to be the president of the United States with not empathy, more so of empathy in his body, in my humble opinion.
Right.
So, you can do life without it, but you don't have many, whatever. You can do life without it, But it's you lack emotional intelligence if you don't have the ability to have some type of empathy. And you can, if you have the ability, you can learn to do that.
Right. So in this example of understanding the emotion, understanding that you could be incorrect in your assumption about what is happening. What is correct, though, right, is that the boss is angry.
Yes.
You're able to read that. Doesn't necessarily have to meet the narrative that you have, that it's at you.
Right.
Being able to even read that and understand that. And then the last thing is managing the emotions. So the ability to manage emotions effectively is a critical part of emotional intelligence. This is huge. Regulating emotions and responding appropriately, as well as responding to the emotions of others, are all important aspects of emotional management. And so when we talk about managing emotions, in so many ways in life, either we or people or somebody that we know expect others to manage emotions for them. Example, I'm going to walk on pins and needles because this person might get upset.
Yeah, walking on eggshells, right?
I'm now trying to manage their emotions, right? By altering my behavior. Rather than just kind of walk the way I walk and let them be responsible for managing how they feel about it.
Yes.
Right. So having the ability to manage emotions. And so those people who are on the flip side of that, who people have to walk on eggshells around, understand that you're asking other people to manage your emotions. And actually, while it could possibly feel powerful and like you're in control, it's actually kind of giving the power and control away.
And it's a lack of emotional intelligence.
And it's that you need to understand where you are.
Yes, like that's like a one low vibrating
Oh my God.
one, you know.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
we heard it. You guys just need to um, act accordingly. You know how they are.
you know how they are.
You know how they are, right? Or um, that's just how I am.
Yes,
So everybody around you need to manage your emotions because that's just how I am. Take
right,
me,
right. But you
right?
can manage your own emotions and make some intelligent choices when you get in a company or a space of that type of people. But
Person, yeah,
imagine the little people who don't have a choice where to go.
you don't have a
I'm
choice.
sorry, I always go back to the little people because
I know because
books
that's
like
where it
this didn't
starts.
have to be written if the little people have been taken care of. So,
Absolutely, that's exactly right. Melanie says exactly. A lot of people don't even realize they have a problem. They don't realize that they are emotionally unintelligent. They don't because either they ignored or they were allowed to operate the way they operate
yeah,
because
well, I think that the people who like just yeah, I agree with you. Like I'm thinking about what came to me is reactionary people who are always just like, dang, just chill out. Wait a minute, you know, like I have a friend of mine whose partner went to get her something to drink at McDonald's,
hmm
and she had to call back and say, "Oh, I couldn't get your drink because me and the girl at McDonald's fell out."
wow, yeah, not they were rude and I'm not spending money here.
Right, right. But
um,
imagine what that must be like to walk into a place. I was in a connection with somebody like that. Used to be like, let's make sure, let's see if this is idiot day at the at the store. It's today
yeah,
idiot day, like that
right,
kind of stuff right there, where you got to monitor. You're so reactive
yes,
and dysregulated that me going in the store really could create a crisis for myself and the other people.
right. And being emotionally intelligent, I think that even in the midst of the conflict,
Let's bring it in.
yes, like, okay, hold
Okay.
on. I did not come in this store with the idea that this was going to be the experience. Yet I am here and I am not responding in the way that I even want to respond. Okay, let me just bring it down.
Right. Who am I in this moment right now?
Yes. But
Mhm.
so many times in a conflict like that, it's about you not gonna get over on, you not gonna talk louder than I'm right, you're not, and it's just kind of like let's just. I was in a I was in an experience where I worked for someone who yells at everybody. Doesn't matter who you are, who you think you are, don't matter. Very emotionally unintelligent. Let me just say, it's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. But just yelled like, and what could be considered very demeaning, right? And then I had someone who witnessed it say, "You just gonna stand there and da 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 da." And I said, "Listen, I know who I am. I am regulated, like, because that doesn't make sense. And so I don't. You didn't do anything to me.
No,
You
this is a
mentioned it.
reflection of who
This is a
who
reflection of you." I said,
who
"I
you
know who I
are.
am, so I don't have to defend that. I don't have to yell back and forth. I don't have to do that, and so I'm good." That person just kind of showed everybody the ignorance, right? Like I don't have to go there for that. And
Mhm.
I don't take it personally. It has nothing to do with me.
Mhm.
However
And
you
that's a good thing to understand if you are
Yes.
in relationship, whether
Oh,
it's intimate or platonic. But I'm just, my thing is this is what I do. So coupling and being able to allow your partner to spin out if that's what they do,
yeah.
but then you learn to, I feel like you get the spin out partners so that you can become your highest best emotionally intelligent self.
Yes,
They are the great teachers
they
for
are.
you to be able
Yes.
to learn to regulate yourself, get clear about how you feel, get clear about what's going on, and
Yeah.
also learning to communicate that, because that's emotionally intelligent people also communicate effectively. They don't shove it
Yes.
down because they are
Yes.
aware of their emotions. Like, that's frustrating. I'm about to get out of here. Or that
Yes.
doesn't make me feel good. Did you mean to say that? Like, so when you are emotionally intelligent, you can just kind of say how you feel or how another person's experiences are
Yeah.
impacting you
And
if you need to.
yeah, and how I would handle it, if you will, on a because this didn't happen just once. On a lot of occasions, I would say, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I'm trying to bring to your attention that you're having an out of body experience right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Are you okay? And oftentimes that will cause a person to stop, right? Right? Because either it's not intended for you, if this has happened to, or in my case, it's not intended for me.
No.
Something else is going on, and and sometimes people are not don't even realize that that's what they're doing, or it's been okay in every other instance in their lives. And when you say, "Are you okay?" it gives you a cue that that's
It's
not
not
okay.
okay.
Come on and collect yourself, man. King, queen, collect yourself, because you are having an out of body experience right now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not
Mm-hmm.
okay. And I've had the and I've come from, oh my gosh, like going 0 to 100 when younger, right, to being in a place where I can say, "Are you okay?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because all that energy, like, I'm not owning that energy. It's too
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm aware of what I'm feeling. Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean that when people have their out of body experience with you, with me, that I don't feel something,
Right.
right? So now I'm checking in.
Please. Mm-hmm.
Okay, gather yourself. It's not about whatever the case may be. Sometimes
Whatever.
it's my first reaction, and then I got to come back and be like, "Whoo, that was a moment, and I didn't like it."
Right.
Right? But checking in with yourself, and now you've checked in with the other person because you are really having an experience that's not okay. At least I
Yeah.
believe it's not okay.
Uh, there is a, you can go online and just Google feelings wheel,
Yes.
and it will give you like this, oh my goodness, so many feeling wheels. And that is, I think that everyone that is emotionally intelligent should be able to kind of push past the four basic emotions and be
Hmm.
able to kind of experience within yourself other varieties of emotions. So
Yes.
I want to suggest the feelings wheel.
And
We
give us the four basic stuff.
anger, happiness,
Sad.
sad, and
Is it excitement?
no, hold on.
Just because somebody out there might be saying, "Well, what are the four basic?"
Yeah, actually, there's six on here: sad, mad, scared, peaceful, powerful, and joyful.
Right.
Let me see. I have so
So if
many.
you're doing any therapy work and you say that you're angry, your therapist may push into that. Well, what does that mean? What does that feel like? What do you like? And I use, and Stephanie does too, actually use the feeling chart. I mean, we think of things like that for children, yeah, but we use it for anybody
That's right.
to be able to identify the emotion. And a lot of times under anger is, I feel hurt, betrayed,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
Um, how do we use our emotional intelligence? I don't know if I want to do that one or if I want to do how do you know you don't have it?
Oh, that's interesting. We probably touched on some of this stuff, but yeah, that would be interesting. I wrote down mastering, how you know that you've mastered it, so I can go
Okay.
through those.
Okay. So let's do the how do you know that you lack it, right? And it just says low emotional intelligence. So I don't you don't lack it, but it's not
It's
high,
low.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, someone that has to always be right,
Mm-hmm.
not even considering what the other person is saying,
Mm-hmm.
right? Hi Kim, thanks for watching.
Hi.
Like and share, please like and share, right? So you have to win at all costs,
Yes.
no matter what, and find it it's impossible to simply agree to disagree. If we don't see this all over social media right now about any freaking thing, about
Everything.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
And my thing is that you're arguing about something. These people don't even know you. You're arguing that we're arguing their lives. We're arguing how they should feel about it. We're arguing a whole lot of stuff. We argued the will in the Chris thing. We argued that these people don't even know you. And I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm saying we're arguing and we're unfriending people and we're not being friends anymore,
Wow. Right?
right?
Yeah.
Because I need to be right. I said he shouldn't have. No, I need to be right. He should have. Should have slapped me. Like, right? Arguing that.
To the point where you are dysregulated.
Yes, to the point where you're
Wow.
dysregulated. I think you are dysregulated when if someone it was not offensive to you, that you unfriend and not be friends with. And let's be clear, because we are friends on social media with people we don't know, right?
Right.
But I'm saying that you unfriend people who you are in close connection with because they have a difference of opinion.
Mm.
They won't let you be right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't allow them to agree to disagree. No, we're going to talk about this until you see my point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
needing to
That's definitely a sign of low emotional intelligence.
yes, um, oblivious to other people's feelings. So many
No
people in the
empathy.
PQ are seemingly oblivious to others' feelings. Like they may be genuinely surprised that their partner is angry at them or that their coworker doesn't like them, and that it
That's
don't
good. So you don't have to like kick people to the curb. Just be like, can we go to a emotionally intelligence course?
happen. Right? Yes, yes. Um, they behave insensitively. So if I tell you, because the other thing that has shown up in our social media world, in our world period, is R. Kelly got time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if I'm sensitive to it, and so I have an opinion about how what I feel about it, and you disagree, then you disagree. But don't be insensitive to how I feel and what my position is. I won't be insensitive to yours because everybody has a right to whatever they think or feel, but being insensitive. So they might say something insensitive at a funeral or make a joke, right? After, and that could be because they don't know what else to say. But that's not
Right. Most of the time, they're emotionally
it's
unintelligent. Yes. Low. They have
right.
low emotional intelligence.
Then if you act to their out of line response, they act as if you're being overly sensitive.
Yes.
It's
That's
also
gaslighting. Did you say that too?
at the exact same time. That's gaslighting.
That's gaslighting.
Yeah, so see, we are very familiar with this. It has a name, a different name, right? They blame others for their problems. So if you're blaming somebody else for your problems when something goes wrong, the first reaction is to find someone or something else to
Oh,
blame.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
this
It's
this
okay to be aware that
yes,
this experience happened because of whatever, or this experience happened with, or you know,
Yes.
it's okay to have that.
Yes.
But then when it becomes your reason for everything, that is
You're not
low.
connected.
You're not connected. You're on a low level where you want to kind of rate. That's your opportunity to rise up,
Yes.
and using that as a way to become more emotionally available to yourself,
Yes.
to
Yes.
yourself. Because when we blame and push our energy outward, especially in a negative way, it doesn't bear fruit.
It does
Well, it
not.
bears more hurtful fruit, not
Yes.
anything that is good for us.
Right.
um
Hello, Mr. Bird. Mr. Bird has joined us.
Hello, 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 hello.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So when something goes wrong, the first reaction is to find something or someone to blame. They might suggest that they had no other choice.
Hmm.
So not taking ownership. That can be a whole lot of things too. This is clear. So they didn't have any other choice for what they did, and that others simply don't understand their situation.
Hmm.
And it's like, just take responsibility.
So it's gonna all for me. It's gonna always go back to infancy,
Yes.
and that 0 to 3 years old. That if you weren't validated or nurtured,
Yeah.
then you're going to be reactive all over the place.
Hmm.
And that's your work to do. That's when you need to go see a clinician and somebody that can walk you through childhood trauma,
Yes.
attachment challenges, and bring you
Yeah.
to a place of regulation. Because
Yeah.
that is your little person, because your grown person knows better.
Right.
But the little person inside of us has tantrums and kicks
Mhm.
and screams and
Absolutely.
demands what it wants. And so, yeah. And so that's why it's low. And it should be when you're a child, right?
Right.
Because you're depending on your parents or the adults to guide you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
some of those things that you're describing as low levels of EQ make sense because they're from the primitive brain,
Yes.
the
Mhm.
amygdala response.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
makes so much sense.
And you a segue right into the next one.
Oh, okay.
Emotional outbursts. It right into the next one. The ability to regulate emotions is one of the components of emotional intelligence. So people with low EQ often struggle to understand and control their emotions. They might lash out reactively without understanding what they are really feeling or why they are so upset. And that too, a lot of times is somebody else's fault.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
They'll
That's
say, if you hadn't, then I wouldn't have. Well,
yes. Yes.
yes.
Yes. See what you made me do.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, and it's again, it's learned. And if you don't have that, like you said, if that's not nurtured early on,
Yes.
you bring, and I said this to somebody a couple of days ago, you bring that wounded child into your relationships. And if you are
Oh,
not trying to heal
all the time.
a child, if you want to know why you react a certain way or why you do a thing a certain way, it's
Go
because,
talk to your little person.
yes,
What does she or he need? What is my little person asking for?
absolutely.
Anytime you feel dysregulated, go talk to your little person. Don't talk to your partner or your
Yeah,
boss
right, right.
or
Absolutely.
or your girlfriend or whatever. Just go.
They struggle in relationships,
No.
right? They often have very few, you said this earlier, close friends. This is because close friendships require a mutual give and take.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to put up with your tantrum all the time.
Mhm.
Unless, of course, there's something in them they're still trying to heal as well. But once
Mhm.
they get to that point, they're no longer going to be bothered with the
Mhm.
tantrums and the
Mhm.
outbursts, the blame, right? They mutual friendships require give and take, sharing of emotions, compassion, and emotional support. All characteristics low EQ individuals typically lack. Instead,
Mhm.
people with low EQ often come off as abrasive and unfeeling.
Yes.
And then, then they want to tell you you need to get some thick skin
Yes. Yes.
to excuse the behavior. Something's
Yes.
wrong with you.
Something is wrong with you because that impacted you. And when you're little, that makes sense. But and then you get bigger. It's like, you're right. I'm not going to allow that to impact me.
Exactly.
I'm going to do
I
something.
have
Right.
high emotional intelligence. I've mastered that, right? Or I'm on the road
Right.
to mastery. On the road
Right.
to mastery. Um,
Exactly.
and then the last one is they turn conversations toward themselves. So it's always, about them, right? They tend to dominate the conversation, even if they're asking questions and appear to be listening intently. They always find a way to shift everything back to them. Usually, they have to prove that whatever you're experiencing, they've had it better or worse.
Mm. Yes.
And
Yes.
again, I think that's because you don't really know what to do with what I just said.
Right. That's possible. Mm-hmm.
Um, and emotionally intelligent people, um, the five areas of the intelligence, and then I'll let you go into the mastery is self awareness, self regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that, we're all growing. Those of us that are choosing to grow. And so I think that you could reach different levels of these things at different times, or
Oh,
they
absolutely.
so so how then, okay, well, I want to get there. I want to be on the road to mastery. So how do I master emotional intelligence?
Well, first, it's a self-awareness. I was really going to show, it says, as you increase in emotional intelligence, you will be able to apply and master the following items below. And that's the ability to accept criticism and responsibility. And that's about self-awareness.
It is.
The ability to move from a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That was a struggle for me when I got my divorce. That was the hardest thing for me.
Yeah.
I thought anyway, that was a really hard. When I read that, I thought, yeah, that was me when it came to my divorce and moving on and starting over
Mm-hmm.
again, moving my ability to move on from what I perceived as a mistake, and it's not. But at the time, I did perceive it as a
Right.
mistake.
Right.
Um, Being able to say no when necessary,
So read the first one again. I had something I was going to say about that
the ability to accept criticism and responsibility.
one. Okay. Yes. Feedback. Yeah.
Mhm.
Even if you don't agree.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So even if you don't agree, that's what I was going to say. It's like, okay, let me think about that. As
Mhm.
opposed to, no, that's not me. That's not what I do. No, I don't know what you're talking.
Mhm.
Let me think about that. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but let me think about that because it could be like,
Mhm.
you might see something I'm not seeing right now. Being able to do
Exactly.
that, even if you don't,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. The ability to express your feelings with others, and understanding of how to mutually solve problems,
yes,
and the ability to express empathy, improved listening skills, should have been
hmm
on top, I think.
yes.
And awareness as to why you do the things you do. Those two, the two I just read, should have been like
Bottom
the
should have been
first.
top,
Yeah,
yeah. But
and
there's a reason,
yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure none of this is in order, just like any type of healing. It's going to come for you the way it comes for you,
right?
because wherever there is a misfire, if you will, or an area of opportunity to grow, all of ours are different,
Yeah,
right? So they don't have to be in this order. That's my opinion, that, oh, being able to improve my listening skills, because I am an interrupter. I
okay.
interrupt. And so I know that being able to listen all the way through, instead of thinking that I have, actually, my thing is like, oh my God, yes.
I right. I was just it's like,
Thanks. We
yes,
are
you just said
one.
something resonated. Yeah, yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I
So,
too am. And when I'm talking and it's like, oh man, I lost my thought. Not me, the other person. It's like, shoot, I need to be quiet a little longer. They lost it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
mhm.
But it's usually out of excitement, not
Yes.
I'm not
Yes.
aware, but it's usually out of excitement to share the
Yes.
thing or to agree with what's being said. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And mine is almost always out of excitement. And if it's
Yes.
not, I give anybody that's listening that knows me permission to check me on that. But I know that when I get excited,
Yes.
I want to jump in. When I'm in a serious conversation that like makes my heart hurt, I listen. I'm always like, that's probably the little girl that's being scolded in me. I don't, ain't no talking back, right?
Right,
So
right.
when it's an intense conversation or something that's serious, I'm really good at just listening. That's probably what, you know, as a clinician, I have to do that, right? So,
Right.
but when I'm excited, I will like chop you off, and so I want to be mindful of that and give myself. I need to pay attention to that.
But I also think that part of that, listening, because that's what, that's what we're trying to do.
Right.
But you mentioned like as a, as a little girl being scolded or whatever. I think that is also a form of just like being observant
Mm-hmm.
of what the person is saying, what's happening around you, which to me is emotional intelligence.
It is. It
Yes,
is.
being aware of what the person is saying, what's happening around you, knowing when to jump in with excitement or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yes, I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Um, let me see. An awareness as to why you do the things you do. Like that should be triple underscore. I think that
Yes.
if you know why you do what you do, and it's a lot of work, everybody.
It
Like
is.
I do not, my family gets sick of me hearing me say, do the work. We gotta do the work. That's the work to do. That's my favorite line.
That's the
That's
work
the
to
work to
do.
do. That's the work to do
And the
because
work changes.
it does change, and it's all, well, for me it's always available, it's always
Yes.
rendering itself available to me. Here's another
Absolutely.
opportunity for me to grow, for me to mature, for me to see something different. It's 8
Yes.
billion people on the planet, and the freedom for everybody to be who they are gives me an opportunity, right, to
Mhm.
learn 8 billion experiences with 8 billion
Yes.
people if I so get the opportunity to do so. um, but a lot of people feel like, oh my God, are you ever going to stop working on yourself? Are you ever going to, that some people have that position, that role,
Yeah.
that experience, but the awareness to know why you do the things that you do is like a superpower, in my humble
Yes.
opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It opens up so many doors when you
Mhm.
know why you do what you do
Yeah.
and or are in pursuit of knowing it.
Yes. Yes.
And it's going to change because life changes,
Mm-hmm.
right? We
Mm-hmm.
have different phases of life, and so it's going to change because life is ever changing and evolving. We're ever evolving, and so it's a journey. It's not necessarily a
It's
destination,
never a destination.
right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No, and I can't emphasize that enough. Like, I mean, because this is what we do all day,
this is what
but
we do all day.
helping people to understand why this is happening on their journey, what has happened, why do I respond this way, why am I thinking this way? That's
Where
the
does it come
main question people all, yeah, where does this come from?
Yeah,
And, but what we also know is the difficulty in standing in the truth and the resolution of those things.
and it can be scary.
It's very scary.
It can be
It
scary
is
because
very
it's not
scary. It's forcing us to shift our paradigm, which is
yes.
extremely difficult,
Hmm.
because it kind of goes up against a lot of things, a lot of
That we've been
people.
taught. A lot of things we've been taught. We have to
Mhm.
unravel a lot of stuff,
Unlearn. Mhm.
unlearn. We have
Mhm.
to peel back the layers.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. It
Yes.
says here that remember, emotions are a part of who you are, and it is okay to be in your feelings. No,
Okay.
yes, everybody, I mean, in your feelings. It's all right to be in your feelings. Just be able to recognize them.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
The key is to understand and harness the positive attributes of emotions to its full potential. Take control of your emotional intelligence today.
Today, take control of your emotional intelligence today. It
Yes.
is your responsibility. Life can be so much more freeing when you do. Um,
Yes.
we have to take control of our own emotional intelligence. It's difficult. It's impossible to reach this thing of autonomy that I see a lot of people on the journey of reaching if you're not going to be aware of
Mhm.
yourself.
Mhm.
If you're not going to first be aware of yourself, if you're not willing to do that for you, right? And then aware of people around you. Um, being present and focused,
Mm-hmm.
have to be present and focused to be aware. You have to sit still. You have to know that not you just have to be. And I've heard this several times. We are human beings, not human doing.
Doings.
And sometimes we got to stop doing so we can be.
Be. And what does that mean? If there's a self-discovery or self-awareness journey you could be on from this moment from this moment until the next time we see you, is finding out what does that mean for me to simply
Yes.
be. What does that mean? What does be, just be, mean for me? Because it's individual.
Yeah.
What does that mean for me? If I'm not a human doing and I'm a human being, what does it mean for me to be in a seat of being, or the mindset
Of being. Absolutely.
of being?
Absolutely. Operating in integrity.
Mhm.
On this journey, you have to operate with integrity. You
Mhm.
have to be honest with yourself first about what you're feeling, what is happening. Um, if you know that we've hit some marks of emotional intelligence on whatever level, low, medium, whatever, and you know that some of these things are you, because that's what we do this for, to bring awareness, then think about what do I need to work on? How do I
Yes.
get there?
Yes.
Right? How do I get to the place of, because again, it's a lot of undoing
Right.
and unlearning, right? You
Mhm.
didn't come here learning and thinking the way you do. You came here this empty, open slate, and then life and people in life and experiences started happening.
Right.
That dictated whether or not you have emotional intelligence, right?
Well, whether it's low or high, because you have it.
You have it, right? Whether it's low or high,
Mhm.
how to operate, how to be aware. Because a lot of times as children, that was shut off.
That's right. It was not allowed.
What you crying for?
Yep. You cry baby,
Yes,
sissy.
yes, that part. You
Mhm.
weak.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. So being aware of yourself and your own being. Kim is cracking up. Kim says, I like that. Janina, hi, Tyrell. Janina, hello, Janina. Janina says, it is
Hello.
powerful to know yourself and your why.
Yeah.
Or else you would be like tossed, right? And I think that it makes for us being better people to other people. And if you are low, or if you know someone who's low, it's okay. You can give them the information that you have.
And I think it also helps you to navigate. I mean, I'm telling you that the low EQ is there to sharpen
Yes.
you. It's there, they're there to teach you. You're teaching them too, but that experience is there to just sharpen you, and it's almost like fertilizer. So you just
Yes.
keep growing and growing and growing when we encounter um, these experiences with people, adult or children. It's for our highest good. It's always for our highest good.
Yes.
Um,
And if you're on this call and this live, and you say none of that refers back to me, or I do that, and hey, that's who I am. What I say is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear,
every time.
and it's okay.
Yeah.
The information is for you when you're ready,
Yes.
because we all have work to do.
And yes.
If we still breathing, and I'm
Right.
going to venture to say we're still breathing because we're doing this live. We're on this live.
Right. Yeah. If you're still here, there's always work to do. But the emotional intelligent piece is learning to be, learning to know who you are, learning to know
Yeah.
why you do what you do,
Yes.
while you're here, so that your purpose becomes more clear too.
And if you're low and you're engaging in certain activities, stop and ask yourself why.
Mm-hmm.
Stop and ask yourself, what's the payoff? Because we don't do anything we don't get a payoff for.
Yes.
Negative.
And if you want to see a clinician to help you on that journey, definitely can, because a lot of times we are, reflections of our family of origin.
Yeah.
So to say, hey, I'm going to stop reacting, and you go around a bunch of reactive people might be challenging, so it is good to get some type of support
Yeah.
when you are, when it comes to anything with emotions. Because the first thing you want to do in the beginning when you want to change your emotions is isolate.
Yes.
It's the first natural
Especially when
response.
yes, especially when it
Mhm.
feels like other people don't understand where you
Yes,
are.
yes,
Or you set boundaries and they do not want to adhere to those
right. And so you're forced to isolate
yes.
because of that too. Mhm,
Yeah,
mhm.
absolutely. Um,
Yeah,
but we're all growing. And so I've had many. Stephanie and I talked about this earlier. I've had many encounters, and a lot of them should make you just stop and say, like, where am I on this journey? What do I need to do
mhm,
different? And sometimes, being in situation, think about your friend that went to the store, got into it with the person at McDonald's, whatever. Sometimes you got to stop and think about the consequences of being low in emotional intelligence, not being able to identify, and what that's going to get you in a situation.
so let me say this.
Yes.
So in a situation like that, the person is low emotional intelligence. And so then you call your partner and say, I fell out with the person at the store, so I couldn't get what you needed. So low, equally, because most people who are together,
They
they are
match you.
not differentiated. They are the same. They rolling in the same energy, right? Yes. So it's like, well, what is wrong with you? And why you didn't da 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 da? And it was just all of that, as
Right.
opposed to being the one to say, wow, I feel very disappointed. I was super looking forward to having my drink. And because you could not manage your emotions,
Because that's what that
I
is.
don't get to get my drink, and you don't get to bless my socks off,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so I'll find out tomorrow how that language worked, because that's the language I gave. Because it was like,
Yes.
he was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening again. And I'm like, yeah,
Bring it
perfect, because
down.
I'm talking about this today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, yeah. So don't, you can grow, is what I'm saying. When people
Absolutely.
are at a low level of EQ, it can help you master a different level of EQ, and you can then
Absolutely.
help your partner, because when you switch the conversation to what is wrong with you, and then switch the conversation back to me, like, oh my
Right.
gosh, I'm so disappointed
I
because you
really
couldn't
wanted that.
manage your
Yes.
emotions. I really wanted that.
Yes. Yeah. And
Take
then
it.
if you're in a space where that's not working, because they don't want to, because some people, um, like I think it was Melanie said, are not aware, but some people are aware and they choose
They
not.
just, it's safer. Understand this. So let me say, people that have low EQs are still in a, I said this earlier, but they're in a need. They need nurturing, they need
Yes.
protection, they need guidance. So they, if you
Coping
can
mechanism. Yeah.
see them from like a little child's place, then we that are have raised our level of EQ now can have, or uh, I'm a firstborn, are now responsible, because that's what comes from that's what happens inside of me. Like, I'm now responsible to be able to
To show someone
communicate
else.
with
Yeah.
them in a
Yeah.
way that I know is effective to them, because now I understand that this is a little person and not
Right.
some grown person who just lost their temper, but this is somebody who needs nurturing, protection, and guidance. Doesn't mean I got to be their mama, but at
Yes.
least when I'm aware of what I'm dealing with, I don't now
And
have to
I
go
take it personally.
down there and get in the playpen with
Yes.
you.
Right. Yes. And that's where I was going with it as well. It's like I can understand that's where you are. But if that's a continued behavior, I don't have to stay, I don't have to be where you are.
Yeah.
When you're ready to raise it, because I love
Yeah.
them in there, but I don't. I get to set the boundaries though.
Hmm. Yeah.
I get to set the boundaries, and I had
Yeah.
a conversation with someone about that today. Like I get to set the boundary if you refuse to move in the direction and to
Hmm.
understand the direction that I'm going. Kim's asks, how do we communicate with individuals with low emotional intelligence who are elders? And actually, my examples, it wasn't
Ooh.
that I was speaking of. And that's a really good question because you can't change anyone.
No, talk to them the same way you talk to the other people. But I know we have, yes, you
Yes,
can't change them.
you cannot change them,
You can,
right?
yeah, it's the same language. That same language. I feel disappointed. I'm not happy with that. That is super frustrating for me.
For me, yes.
I'm not happy with that.
Now,
That
understand
makes
you might not get the response you think you might be looking for, and that's okay.
That's
It's
okay.
not
That's
about
not
the
the
response.
intention. Mm-mm. That's
But you
not the
know,
intention.
so many times we communicate with wanting to have this response, this receptive, loving response, and you
Mm-hmm.
might not get that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not your responsibility. Like your
Mm-hmm.
responsibility is just to say where you are, and maybe
Yes.
accept that or not, and then you have to move on, right?
And when you are operating in a higher EQ, people are uncomfortable. I remember when I drove
Yes.
home one summer with my kids and my Georgie, my little one. You know, he is who he is, and he is very emotive, and he says what he wants. He's always been that in his little self. And so my father, talk about elders, was like, wow, your kids they sure express a lot. Yeah, because I wanted them to be familiar with how they feel. We had to in our world, but
Yeah.
my dad was not comfortable with that. And so it's just a part of the journey. Like they weren't permitted to have those emotions or they weren't able to recognize them. But our job
Familiar to
when you have high EQ, you just want to practice being aware. Even
yeah.
if nobody changes, I need to just say, oh my goodness, that makes me anxious. Oh my goodness, I'm
Yes.
watching your anxiety. It's creating anxiety in me. Like
Yes.
it's saying that it's making, not that you have to change it, but I'm becoming aware that
Right.
this is happening. And I wasn't like that until I saw this interaction. Being
Right.
able to just say how you feel, not saying you need to change.
Exactly. Not saying that you need to change.
Your
And
behavior has resulted in me being disappointed that I didn't get my drink today. That's the truth.
that is the truth. So again, to answer your question, Kim, like that, you respond the way you respond, right? Not expecting anything,
Not anything
just
in
to
return.
share how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, some of our elders will want you to get your feelings off your sleeves, and some of the other things that they say, but okay, and in that case, you absolutely do know what you're dealing with.
And you know where they are,
And you
right?
know where they are. And that's when you can have the grace and mercy that
Yes.
even our elders can be stuck in the infancy, can be
Yes.
stuck back there.
Yeah. Why not? They have so much trauma. Right.
Yes,
Yeah. And then with in emotions, age does not make wisdom.
yes. Kim's response was, if I respond, it comes off as I am disrespectful.
Are you?
And
And if the answer is no, don't worry about how it comes off. If
right,
I'm looking at something with a blue lens and they looking at something through a red lens, I can't stop them from seeing it red.
right.
But if one of the four agreements is to be impeccable with your words, so if
Yes,
you know that you are impeccable with your words, then and you know that your intention, being impeccable with your word, knowing what the intention is, how someone takes that in, that's not yours. That's one of the things about emotional intelligence. You begin to know what is yours to own and what is yours, those to leave on the table.
right.
No, and you can even quantify it. But I'm not, no disrespect. One, two,
Right.
three, four, five.
No disrespect. I really do love you.
Mm-hmm.
This is just how I feel right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is my
Yeah.
experience.
But the worst thing we can do is withhold our love or our thoughts or our loving opinions from a person because we don't want to disrespect them, or we don't want to feel anything yucky inside,
Right,
or
right.
we think
And
that we
that's
might
going
the
back to
other
that
person.
child.
Mhm.
It's going back to that child. We were taught not to disappoint,
Yeah.
not understanding that if you can think about your own self at this age or maybe 10 years younger, right? That's who they were at
That's
that
it.
age,
Mhm.
except they were doing things differently,
Mhm.
and certain things were not acceptable, right? And so you just know that that's where they're operating from. And it's okay because you can't change them. You don't have to not love them. But that's where, and Kim, you and I, Kim is a good friend of mine. You and I, we can talk a little bit more if you want to talk offline about it. But yeah, and we're plagued with that in our culture. In our
Yeah.
Black culture, everything is
Ooh,
disrespectful. All I have to do is see that the sun rose at 6, and you saw that it rose at 7. And if I don't say it rose at 7 because you said so, I'm being disrespectful.
disrespectful. Mhm.
I'm simply saying this is what I see, this is what my perspective is. And the other thing is that we don't have to argue.
Mhm.
What I'm learning about my elder, I stop myself when I'm talking like, I don't need, what am I trying to prove?
You don't need to win.
When I don't need to prove anything. I heard what you
No.
said. I do still disagree, but that's okay. But I don't need to, right? Because we can go back and forth. Well, no, it was this. Well, no, it was this.
No.
No, it was this. And at some point I don't even say, okay, let's agree to disagree. At some point I just shut up. It's
Just
just
be
not,
quiet. Mhm.
it's not going to stunt or enhance my growth in any way.
Yeah.
Just be. Just be.
It takes practice. It takes practice, and you get with someone in your circle that appreciates emotional intelligence. And so when you want to have a conversation or you want to process, you process with that person that is a
Yes.
non-judgmental person and can walk you through your feelings and your experience.
Yes.
Because we all need that, because this is for our culture, our tribes, that this awareness and being all in our feelings is something that was not embraced. It
At all.
wasn't safe anyway. How about
It
that?
was
We
not
talked
safe and
about
it
that.
comes with slavery.
Yeah, it wasn't safe for
I
us to
used to
have this
protect you.
experience, but our power is
Yes.
in the awareness of it. I'm telling you. You
Yes.
talk about magic.
Yes.
It
Absolutely.
is magic when you are aware of what you are feeling and you own it for you.
For you. Right? Because this is not for show. This is not to show somebody that you have it. This
Mm-mm.
is a journey. You're on this journey and you see people for where they are
Mhm.
and you love them and you keep it moving because you're on a journey,
Mhm.
right? Melanie says, yes, a lot of times we hold our tongue to keep from hurting someone's feelings, but is it fair to us?
It isn't.
It isn't. It isn't,
It
right?
isn't.
You get to express yourself. And again, in my journey, I've learned, mm, do I, let me move on. Let me just move on. Let me just move on. Right. But if it's somebody that you're dealing with constantly all the time and this thing is going to keep coming up, you have to say something. You owe it to yourself to have to say something. You don't have to be, you know, rude and let's
Well,
understand
that's not, yeah,
why
that's
you
not
do it.
emotional intelligence if you're
Right.
rude.
Right. It's just
Mhm.
simply stating where you are, how you feel, and that's just you.
Mhm.
And we don't have to fall out about it. Maybe they might fall out about it, but you don't have anything to do with that. You can't control that.
Exactly.
I will end with this: control what you can control. That's all you,
Mhm.
and that's your responses.
Mhm.
How you respond, right? So that's loaded. It's loaded. We can go on and on. We can go in different directions. It's very loaded,
Yes. But I
especially
hope this for everybody. Mhm.
yes, it's so
Mhm.
freeing. It's so freeing, and I also think that we engage in this, having this low emotional intelligence, because of trauma too.
Well, that's yeah. If you're a grown up and you still have it, it's in my humble opinion, it's always because of trauma. Why would I not want to grow up? It was not safe.
Right, right.
It's not safe. So yeah.
That is our time. Went over a little bit. Thank you guys, everybody that's
Thank
still there.
you.
Thank you for engaging us. Uh,
Yes.
we will come back in a couple of weeks, and we're saying right now we're going to be speaking about forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Uh,
Yes.
yes, we're going to be talking about forgiveness. So please come back in 2 weeks with us. I don't know what 2 weeks from today is, but in 2 weeks we're going to be talking about forgiveness.
The 19th.
The 19th. Oh,
Uh-oh.
yes, the 19th.
Yeah.
Yes, we're going to be talking about forgiveness. So
Yeah.
we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you so much again. Please like and
Thank
share.
you.
If you are on here, go to Heads Up Mental Clarity on YouTube and subscribe and like and share there as well. We appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Come back next time.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, friend.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.